All right. Okay, so this one we just talked about. How many students did not own both? Okay, so the both is a 7. So the ones that did not own both were 4 plus 9 is equal to 13. So here's your next question. Okay, diagram below shows attributes of flowers in a flower shop. How many flowers were red with thorns? Okay, even though it doesn't say it, you can interpret red with thorns means red and thorns, right? So the intersection, okay, your eyeball. Okay, so interpreting, so you could have red flowers, maybe like a tulip. Okay, tulips do not have thorns. You could have red flowers like a poppy, right, that do not have thorns. So there's a whole bunch of red flowers that don't have thorns. Okay, and then there's a whole bunch of flowers that have thorns but maybe aren't red. Okay, that would be the 8. So how many flowers were red with thorns? Okay, that's your intersection and. So hopefully you got 6. Okay, let's take a look at the next one. We have sports that people watch, soccer and baseball. How many people watch soccer?
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, okay. So in this case, you have to do everything in the soccer circle. How many people watch soccer? 14 plus the 9. Okay, gives you 23. Okay, how else could we say this 14 if we're trying to describe it in words? Yeah, only soccer. Okay, you have to have the word only in there so that it would disqualify the ones who did mix it up with the baseball. Okay, so this one, so the 9, right, our eyeball would be both soccer and baseball. Okay, and our snowman, right, everything, if it said if they watch soccer or baseball, right, then we would include everybody. Actually, I probably shouldn't have said that because it's probably the next question. All right, here we go. Game consoles. We've got a PS4 and an Xbox. How many people owned both PS4 and an Xbox? Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so both means and. Okay, so that's our intersection. Okay, the 9 in the middle, that's what we're looking for. Right. How about this one? Gender of student siblings. How many students did not have both a brother and a sister? Okay, I heard it over there. Someone's like 23. Yeah, so if they didn't have, so 13 is both. If they didn't have both, okay, then we have the 12 plus 11. Okay, final question. Okay, write this one down. Pets that students have in a class. How many people had a cat? Yeah. Okay, 25. Right, had a cat. Not just 19, because that would be cat only. Okay, include both of them. Okay. So as we get familiar with this and the language that's being used, only, both, and, with, okay, what we're going to do is we're just going to add one little extra layer to it, and today we're going to be looking at a Venn diagram that has 3 circles instead of just 2. Okay, we're going to be talking about the same things. We're going to be talking about overlap, okay, our intersection. Okay, we're going to be talking about or, either or. Right? That's our snowman. We're going to be talking about only. Okay, only would exclude, only is our crescent moon. So we're going to have some crescent moon shapes. Those are our onlys. Okay, we'll probably have some neither. In this particular case, they didn't have any neithers. Neither would be a number right on the outside of our universe. Okay, so go ahead and pull out your, oh, you guys have your notes out already. Go ahead and pull out your notes. Let me get mine set up. Okay, So as you can see, a three-circle Venn diagram looks, I think it looks pretty. Okay, it looks kind of like, almost like our school symbols. Okay, so it's just three intersecting circles. And let's learn about it by doing an example together. Okay, and then we can talk about the similarities between three circles and two circles. Okay, and how to interpret some of the things, and then we're going to figure out how to fill one in. So they might give us like a list of different numbers, and we need to know how to be able to fill out our Venn diagram. Okay, so here's our example where we have a survey of 100 high school students regarding movies that they watched in the last 2 weeks. Okay, so I would go ahead and include, okay, I would just remind myself that I have 100 students. Okay, so P, this is what I was talking about. Okay, if you have some sort of let statement, let P represent this, then we can use the abbreviations. Otherwise, you're having to write out the movie names. So here's a movie, the number of students who watched Perfect Rebel. Okay, C is the number of students who watched a movie called Chill, and then D is the number of students who watched a movie called Dazed. Okay, so from the diagram, okay, how many students watched only Perfect Rebel? So as soon as they say only, they're talking about a crescent moon shape. Okay, so let's find out where it is first. Okay, I'm just going to highlight it. Okay, Perfect Rebel, and we want only Perfect Rebel. So our crescent moon kind of has a little bit of an extra bite out of it. Okay. But this is only Perfect Rebel. Does that make sense? Okay. There were more people, other people watched Perfect Rebel, but they also watched other movies. So when we see the word only, okay, we need to make sure that it excludes all the other ones. Okay. And again, word sentences, word answer, like sentence answers. Okay, so instead of just writing 3, get in the habit of writing, okay, 3 students watched Perfect Rebel. Okay. Okay. All right, our next one. How many students watched Perfect Rebel? You notice just the very slight difference in this wording. Okay, the first one was only, and so that was our crescent moon. This one now just says how many students watched Perfect Rebel. So what they want you to do is they want you to realize, okay, that is, we find Perfect Rebel, okay, how many students are in, okay, the complete circle. So in that case, you're just going to do a little bit of quick addition, right? You've got 3 plus 1 plus 6 plus 1, okay, all of the numbers. So we have 11 students watched. Three students watched Perfect. Let's just add this. What? 3 students. Okay. How is it grammatically correct? 3 students only watched Perfect Rebel. 3 students watched only Perfect Rebel. Where should we stick the only in this sentence? Because I left it out. I think we'll just mimic whatever the question asks. If you're unsure, okay, just stick it in here. Okay. I was like, otherwise their sentences are the same. Here I'm saying 11 students watched Perfect Rebel, but here I just said 3 students watched it. So 3 students watched only Perfect Rebel, while 11 students watched, okay, Perfect Rebel. Okay, how many students watched Chill and Dazed? Dazed. Okay, so as soon as we see and, okay, we're thinking intersection. Okay, so let's. Okay, so where do Chill and Dazed intersect? Okay, so here's Chill, here's Dazed. Okay, this is the intersection of Chill and Dazed. Okay, so we just have our 6 plus 2. Okay, 8 students watched Chill and Dazed. Okay, how many students watched Chill or Dazed? Okay, remember the word or? That's our union, that's our snowman. Okay, so you can think to yourself, okay, snowman. Okay, what does he look like here though? Okay, if we're looking for Chill or Dazed, we're just going to draw it, okay, around the Chill or Dazed. Okay, so you see our snowman includes both of those circles. Okay, and it includes, we color in our snowman, it's everything including those. Chill or Dazed would be all of those numbers. Okay, so let's write those ones in. So we have 68 plus 1 plus 6 plus 2 plus 1 plus 17. Okay, so I get 95. Students watched, okay, Chill or Dazed. Okay. How many students watched all 3? So this is one of the unique things with a 3-circle Venn diagram. How many watched all 3? Okay, so are all 3, look, get our highlighter back, right here. This little triangle in the middle, that's our all 3, where all 3 circles intersect. Okay, that would mean that that's how many students watched Chill and Dazed and Perfect Rebel, right? So the little triangle in the middle is and. Okay, how many students watched all? Okay, 6 students. Watched all 3 films. Okay, what does the 2 outside represent? The 2 outside of all the circles. Okay. That's my pen. Okay, what does this represent? That 2 outside. Okay, Cole. Yeah. Okay, 2 that watched, like, any. I like that word because neither is usually like an either or. There's only 2 options, but this is not any of them. Okay. So we can write that. Okay, 2 outside the circle represents. Okay. 2 students did not watch any films. Okay, what does the 2 inside the circles represent? All right, let's find that. Okay, this one here. Okay, so not that one. What's this one? This weird kind of one here. How could we describe that one in words? Okay. We know it has something to do with Chill, has something to do with Dazed, might have something to do with Perfect Rebel. How could you put that one into words? Anybody willing to give it a try? Gareth, you got it? What do you think? This little 2 here.
Oh, sorry. Students that watched only Chill and Dazed.
Okay. If they, yeah, we need a, yeah, we can say Chill and Dazed only. Okay, then you're right. You're all set. Okay. So you could say, okay. So do you see how complicated it is? Okay. So this is Chill and Dazed only. Or you could say chill and dazed, but not perfect rebel. Okay, so you have a couple options here. So you can use the word only, or you can use the word but not. All right, let's write that one down. Okay. Okay. Students who watched only, okay, or students who watched chill and dazed, not perfect rebel. Okay, so just maybe remind yourself, okay, only, but not. Make sure that you're making note of some of the language that's being used. Okay, if you're feeling pretty good about this, you're thinking, okay, this makes sense. I like this. Okay, I want you to see if you can shade in. Use pencil if you're not sure. Shade in the area. Okay, so where is A and B? Okay, in this diagram. Where would you shade in A and B? Okay, A and B is still your intersection. Okay, between A and B. So it's all of this. Okay, how about A or B? A or B is our snowman. Okay, we haven't even introduced the idea that there is a C yet, so you don't have to worry about excluding C until it tells you to. Okay, how about A and not B? So that's where we say, like we find A, okay, but not B. So we're going to exclude B. This is the crescent moon. This is another way of saying this is, well, we can't with 3. I was going to say only A. If there was 2, we would say only A. Okay, but this is A and not B. If we were writing these down, okay, maybe we'll also put these in set notation. Okay, so set notation is just turning our words into a little bit more of a mathematical notation. So don't forget that this is A intersection B. This is A union B. This is A intersection B prime or B complement or not B. Okay, and finally here we have one that includes all 3. We want A and not B and not C. Okay, so this one would be here we go. So A, okay, not B, not C. That would be that little one. Okay, so see here how we said but not means only. So when we have all of these, okay, this is how we get the A only. A and not B and not C gives us A only. Okay. Okay, this is how we get A only. we've seen how to go from an example where they give us, okay, the numbers. Our next step is we're gonna fill in the numbers ourselves. Okay, they're going to tell us a little bit about a situation. So our example is, okay, Rachel surveyed grade 12 students and how they communicated with friends over the previous week. Okay, 66% called on a cell phone, 76% texted, 34% used social media site, 56% called on a cell phone and texted, and then we have cell phone and social. You know, we have all these different combinations, okay? And 12% used all three forms of communication. So let's talk about a couple things here, okay? So first of all, we can see that we're using percents. So what do you think our universe, okay, how many percent in a universe? 100%, okay, all of it, okay? So that's something to just remember, okay? Our universe, okay, when we have everything filled in, we should be equal to 100%, okay? So they've started telling us a little bit about the way people communicated. So let's grab the keywords. We have a cell phone. Now, it doesn't matter which circle that you choose, okay? You just have to choose a circle. So I'm just choosing the top one. So this will be my cell phone, okay? The next one is texted. So I'm going to do texted here. Okay. And my last one, social networking site. Okay. And social networking site. Okay, so the strategy is, so here's what you really need to know. Here's our strategy. We always start with the middle and work our way out. Okay, so you want to start with the smallest area possible. So when we had our two Venn diagrams, okay, we always started with the intersection if we knew it. If we didn't know it, then we calculated it. So in this case, okay, we're going to start here, okay, because this is all three. So this one, we know for sure, is 12%. Okay, so start with, how did I describe it? Okay, I'm going to start with the smallest area, okay, and work to the biggest area. All right, so we have 12%. So now we can say, okay, 19 texted and used social media. Okay, so here's texted and social media. It's our eyeball. Okay, and it tells us there's 19. However, I've already got 12 accounted for. Okay, so the 19 does not go here. You have to say I want 19 altogether in my eyeball. So then I'm going to go 19 subtract 12, which is 7%. Did everybody see that? Okay, so even though it said 19 here, okay, I have to go 19 subtract 12 gives me 7. Okay, 18 people called on a cell phone and used social. So this is the intersection and, okay, where am I at? Okay, okay, and. So this is my eyeball between cell phone and social networking site. Okay, same thing. I have 18. I've already counted 12 of them. Okay, cell phone and social, I already have 12 of them, so I have 6 left. Okay. So now we have 56 called on a cell phone and texted. So that again is my intersection. Okay, that's my eyeball between the cell phone and the text. So I'm going to do 56. I already have 12 accounted for. So I can do, okay, 44. All right. Now here we go. Here's a single. 34 used a social networking site. Okay. That means in this whole circle, it should add up to be 34. Okay, so we're going to start with 34 and we're going to subtract what we already have in our social circle. Okay, we already have a 12, we already have a 6, and we already have 7. Okay, so how much is left over? Okay, got to grab my calculator. Okay, 34, subtract 12, subtract 6, subtract 7. Okay, that gives us 9. Okay, see if you can fill out the next one. Texted. 76 total people in the whole circle texted, but we've already accounted for some. Okay, so how many texted only? Okay, so we should have 76. We're working on texted. Subtract 44, subtract 12, subtract 7. Okay, gives us 13. And then, okay, 66 called on the cell phone. So our cell phone circle, we're going to subtract off the 44, the 12, and the 6. Okay, and that should get us 4. Now, if you, and I guess I'll put my percentage. Okay. Okay, somebody add up all the numbers inside my whole clover shape and tell me what you get. Okay, so I hear 95. So when you added up 95, okay, but I said my universe was 100. Yeah. Okay, so don't forget that there's going to be a like a none category that sits on the outside. Okay, even though, so here's the thing, even though it didn't tell you in the list, it didn't tell you that 5% did neither or none. Okay, but it's assuming that you can, that you know that you can figure out that once you add up everything, okay, and subtract that from your universe, that is how you get to your none. Okay, so if you want like a little picture view of this, if you're a very visual person, okay, this is my note to myself, okay, and you can use it. Okay, so order. Okay, I did the triangle. Okay, the all. Okay, then I did, okay, my eyeball, which is my and. Okay, and then I did, okay, single, like that's kind of like my only. And then sometimes, we haven't got to this one yet, but then sometimes they might give you an or, okay, my snowman. Okay, that would come at the very end if they give you an or. Okay, so I'd always start with the smallest in the middle. Okay, then I would do my intersection points, my eyeballs. Okay, then I would do my onlys, like the single circles. So we did each of the single circles. We haven't done the or yet. Okay, so that would come in, okay, order for filling in your diagram. Okay, so determine the percentage of students who texted and used a social networking site but did not call on a cell phone. Also can be said the percentage of students who texted and used social only. Okay, so here, so we go back to our thing. So we said texted and social only. Okay, so that would be our 44%. Okay, so who texted and used social but not a cell phone. Oh, I did that wrong. Okay, texted and social would be over here, guys. Okay, texted and social would be this intersection here, okay, but not the cell phone. So we're not interested in the 12. We're only interested in the 7. Okay, so then we could say that. So 7%, okay, 7% of students Okay. Texted and used social networking site only. Okay. Determine the percentage of students who used only one form of communication. Okay, what are they trying to say there? Okay, which circle says that they used only one? Okay, I'll keep it down. Okay, these are our only spaces here, the green ones. Okay, so when they say only used one, you could say there were 4% who used only a cell phone. Okay, and there was 9% who used only social and 13% who used only text. So that means that if we add those up, those are the percentage of students who only had one. So even though it might say only, don't forget if they're looking for multiple things, only cell phone and that, that we can still add those up. Okay, so the percentage of students who used only one form of communication, okay, that would give us our 4 plus our 13 plus our 9, okay, equals 26% of the students used only one form. Okay, of communication. Okay, determine the percentage of students who used a cell phone only. Okay, cell phone only. Okay, 4%. So this is our only space right here. Okay, 4% of students use a cell phone only. Okay. Determine the percentage of students who did not use any of the 3 forms in the communication. We already did this when we completed our Venn diagram. Okay, so you would just need to kind of right here, right, show your thinking, okay, and include that in here. So we have, okay, again, we could show that we took 100 and subtracted, so 5% of students did not use any. Of the 3 forms of communication. Okay, I know it might seem like a lot of writing now for in your notes, okay, but you want to start practicing now, writing out full sentences so that you don't get lazy on your quizzes, tests, and diploma. Okay, because if you're not doing it in your notes or you're not doing it on the quiz, you're just going to write an answer, okay, and unfortunately, you're not going to get full marks for that. So that's why we're writing everything out in full. All right, let's do one more example. Okay, example number 4, use the following information to answer the questions. Okay, I think this might be a good time to get you guys, okay, up and moving around a little, because I get that it's after lunch and you're kind of dragging a little bit. So why don't you take your notes package with you, okay, find a partner, find a marker, find a spot on the boards, and I want you to draw out this Venn diagram, okay, and see if we can get it absolutely accurate. Okay, for this example, okay, they don't always have to be in order. Okay, so here's actually where we would start. Let's get a pen going. That would be helpful. Okay. Okay. So this would be my start here point. okay? Because this is the part where everybody is included. This is the middle part. Let me draw my diagram. I'm going to draw it right here. Okay. Okay, my circles aren't awesome, but that's okay. All right, so we have our 20 in the middle. Actually, first let's label. We have, okay, I have cycle. I have, oh, see, I did mine just a sec this way. Okay, what did you guys, so it doesn't matter which way you do it. You just have to like rotate your circle around. So if this is cycle, I'm going to do walk here, and I'm going to do public transit here. Okay, if you like the way that you orientated your circle, okay, so some people did one circle on top, some people did two circles on the top. It does not matter. Okay, you can have a little bit of creative liberty as to how you draw your Venn diagram. Okay, but we start here. 20 students walk, cycle, and use public transit. Okay, then I'm going to suggest that we go up. Because remember, these ones have or. And on the previous page, okay, when I gave you the order for filling in a diagram, I said do the little triangle, do the alls first, then find your eyeballs, find any ones that have ands, then do singles, and at the last, at the very end, that's when you do your snowman. Okay, that's when you do your or. All right, so for this one, we're going to work our way up. 35 students walk and cycle. Okay, so walk and cycle is my intersection here, my eyeball. I already have 20, so I need to get to 35. If it's helpful, okay, you can do 35 minus 20 gives you 15. Okay, you can. That's where I kind of did my math. Here, 80 students walk, okay, and do public transit. So that's my intersection between the walk and the public transit. That's my eyeball. I've already accounted for 20. So this is where I have to go 80, subtract 20. Okay, that's my 60. Okay, and then I'm going to just continuing to go up. So if you want, you can like check these off as you go. Yeah. Okay, so now we have 100 students cycle and use public transit. Okay, so cycle and public transit, here's my intersection, here's my eyeball, and I have 100 altogether, and I'm going to subtract what's already there. That's where we got the 80 from. Okay, so you guys rocked when you did that, okay? And then, okay, we knew, okay, we also had our universe, okay, is 750. All right, and we knew that 370, so this is our only. Okay, when I go back to my previous page, I'm just going to flip there real quick. Okay, start in the triangle, do all your intersections, all your eyeballs, and then do your singles. This is your only. Okay. So this is, you can see it right here, this is a single. Just public transit. It's just wanting to know that whole circle of public transit. So that's where I say, okay, so I'm looking at my public transit circle. Okay, this one right here, it has to total 370. I already have 80, I already have 60, and I already have 20. Okay, so I'm going to be subtracting 160 from that. Okay, so we should end up with 210. That's where that came from. Okay, so we've done this one, we just did this one. Okay, now we can pop down. Okay, and now we can do our ors. So the ors are snowman. Okay, so if we're looking at cycle or public transit, if I write on it, I can't unwrite on it. Okay, our cycle or public transit, that includes everything inside of the snowman. Okay, So that's where we end up with 445 subtract 210, subtract 80, subtract 60, subtract 20, subtract 15, okay? And you guys were able to get, it should be 60, okay? And then our final one, we had 265. Subtract the snowman of walk or cycle. Okay, so we already have 60, 80, 20, 15, and another 60. Okay, and that gives us 30. Our final thing is to add up everything in our clover and subtract it from our universal set in order to come up with, okay, our neither group, our none group, no transit whatsoever. Okay, so now that we've kind of done our walkthrough, filled those out, I'm going to give you just another minute to answer the questions. Okay, some of you started on the boards but didn't have a chance to finish. Okay, so now that your numbers are for sure confirmed, I want you to answer the questions. How many students cycle and walk only? Okay, B, C, D, and E. Okay, so cycle and walk only is our 15 students. Okay, walk or use public transit. Okay, walk or use public transit. That's our snowman. Okay, that's a large number. Okay, so this is our snowman. So we're looking at doing everything in the walk, okay, or the public transit. So you're looking at 30 plus 15 plus 20 plus 60 plus 80 plus 210. Okay, everything in the walk or public transit snowman. Okay, that ends up being 415 students. Okay, and again, walk or use public transit. Nice sentences. Okay, do not use green transportation. Okay, that's where that was our, this is the whole question was talking about the campaign, encouraging students to use green transportation. So you've already done the math for that one. Okay, but you could write in, okay, all the numbers that you use. So this would be your 750, subtract everything. There's 30, 60, 210. So 275 students do not use it. Okay, and finally, how many use public transit only? So when we have an only, okay, that's our crescent moon when it's only. Okay, use public transit only. So we find our public transit circle, and we're saying only public transit, nothing else. So that's our 210. 210 students use public transit only. How about use exactly one form of transportation? So it's similar to that other question that we had where they wanted to know how many used only one form of communication, and we just added up the only groups, all the crescent moons. So same here. How many people only walked, only used public transit, and then only used cycling? Okay, so we could do our 30 plus 60 plus 210 to get us to 300 students use exactly one form. Okay. So just to keep us in a good work habit, what I'm going to say is, so our homework, we have 4 questions on page 29. Okay, you guys still have 15 minutes. So let's finish that up in class, and then I'm going to create a homework check where you can upload those into Google Classroom.